PC approached us about almost a year ago now to apply to an Art Place project, and we met with them. We met with them at that table, actually, just here in the gallery, and talked about what could be possible, within a small footprint of along the Lancaster corridor, and what kind of work could we do with other organizations and entities along Lancaster corridor and in the neighborhood to think about how art and safety could work together. And so one of the things that we envisioned actually at the table was to bring folks together and have a parade and do all of these different projects that together could be this kind of cohesive multi-approach artistic project that brought the visibility of safety in the community, that positioned the 16th district and the police as at the table as a member of the community, and to really lift up all of those voices and hold space for all of those voices to come together really equitably, and then move that forward. And I think that one of the things that has happened is that everybody's been doing these different projects, and Spiral Q has really been, our role at the table has really been to facilitate that coming together. So we'll go into different neighborhoods and be the entity that is in touch with everyone and convening everyone, and kind of holding space as an outsider to have the conversations that need to be had to figure out what are the issues, what are the things that are important to the community, kind of holding space, inviting the public in. And so we're sort of doing that here with that project, and it's really been amazing to just connect to, in very tangible ways, to all the other organizations, not all of them, but a good amount of the other organizations that exist up and down the corridor. And I feel like the individual projects have explored and pushed on some of the ideas around safety and community through this artistic process and their artistic processes. But I think the most lasting thing that has happened with us is that we're connected to each other in a way that we hadn't been previously. And I know that LISC has been a really big part of pulling us together and having us meet and giving us information together. But I think that this takes it the next step, so that we're able to convene ourselves, we're able to really have conversations and build those relationships, so that beyond the scope of this project, we will be able to know one another and think of each other and call one another, and brainstorm with each other and create other things moving forward.
I think that going to those initial meetings that LISC convened for their first round, I believe, of arts placemaking type grants led to a couple really important things for us as an organization. Mm-hmm. One was, because of the nature of how the projects went, there was a required partnership between at least two different groups, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we're used to partnering, so that wasn't new. But because of that, we ended up in 3 different LISC projects the first year. One of them was our own, the one that we led, which was a teen apprenticeship program, and we needed a public space to do that. And so we actually ended up, through a neighborhood, knowing the neighborhood well and knowing some relationships of who could make it happen, is that we ended up in this gallery space. And so for the first time in, I think it was 3 or 4 years, we had a public space, and for the first time ever, we had visibility on the corridor.
Melissa, and I'm probably sure David as well, will recommend us to other folks and say, Spiral Q is doing great work. Call them up. And I think that recommendation goes very far. Melissa recommended us to work with PCDC, the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation. And so we had an initial meeting, and next week, after tomorrow, we're going to be doing another neighborhood parade in Chinatown that really lifts up the issues around around the accessibility to Franklin Square Park for a lot of the youth and daycares in the center that have to traverse sidewalks that are like blocked by vans and then having to cross Arch Street, which, you know, at a certain point opens up, it's like a floodgate of like super fast cars, and all these little like small kids and children have to cross that street. And so we're doing the same things again, you know, working with different stakeholders in the neighborhood.
But once again, it's like there's a ton of advocacy in this. Like
Yeah.
it's for kids, but so it totally makes sense that it's a parade and we're making art. But like it's a deep advocacy thing too, because
Yeah.
I want to change the situation there. And so like for me, I think Sparrow is a perfect fit. And they might not have realized that they needed a parade, and they might not want to do a protest, but it's everything.
Yeah, and so, you know, also the like that convening that I, you know, talked about earlier, I was like, well, we're convening here, and we continue to convene different stakeholders in different neighborhoods. And so one of the like, you know, one of the like undercurrents of that project for me anyway is to make sure that, you know, we're continually convening the stakeholders and having them listen to each other, have deep listening sessions. You know, what is so important to you about your neighborhood? Why, you know, what are some of the other issues that kind of come up and are cropping up around, you know, safety for our kids, you know, that's, you know, leading to culture. What about the cultural organizations? What about the specific culture, you know, in Chinatown is amazing and wonderful that you want to hold on to with, again, like, lots of different changes that are happening in the neighborhood, and how do you get ahead of that to make sure that, you know, you have a group of folks who are working on that already, as opposed to being reactionary. Like, how do you get ahead of that? And so, you know, helping them to gel as a group in that way has also been really great, and great for me. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I love Chinatown so much, you know, after being a part of this like deep listening session and like answering the question myself. So yeah, that's one of the ways that LISC has supported us.